Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill, and this is Beyond Code Live. So we're going to continue on with the blog system. And what we're going to do is put a little sign in with GitHub button right here. So I think I'm going to maybe change this link to say source code instead of GitHub, and we'll have a GitHub sign in. I think I'll just leave it text for now. Sign in with GitHub, something like that. So with that said, I think we can just go ahead and get started. And if at any time during the video you've got any comments or questions, I do have the chat open both on YouTube and on Twitch. And if you have an aha moment or something strikes you as nice, go ahead and give it a like. And yeah, let's just dive right in. So where we left off, I still have this up and running. We got the database to a good place. You can sign in. So we have, this is the test of our API apart from the front end. We can click the GitHub Sign In here, and it does a little redirect and says congrats you when we get the token. So we've gotten up to that point, and we kind of abandoned the front end. They're in two separate repos. The front end and the API are in two separate repos right now. We kind of abandoned the front end for a little bit so we could focus just on the API. And now I don't feel like I can... Originally I thought it was going to work a little more on the API, but now I don't feel like I can make much progress on the API without swapping to get the live site up to date with the sign-in. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's see, where am I at? Oh, this is over on beta, so that's fine. I'm going to open up yet one more window here. And my wife is printing something, so the printer keeps on kicking in because the printer's here in the garage with me. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, it's just Bliss right here. Okay, good. And there's no... Well, let's see what branches we have. All right, that looks good. So I'm going to have to copy some of the code over from this demo interface. I have to think about that a little bit because I think the major part of this segment is going to be refactoring that. Let us see. First, let me just go search out GitHub here. And let's change that to view source. And then we'll create another. I don't know what it should have yet for the ref, so let's just take that away. And I don't think we want target is equal to blank for this. We will want to give it a name, a class. Let's call it JS GitHub Sign In. Or maybe JS Sign In with GitHub to mirror what it will say. Sign in GitHub, whatever. So sign in with GitHub. I would like to have a GitHub sign in button, but I'm afraid of how that might look. It may not fit well in here. Let's just do a quick search. GitHub sign in button. Let's see if we've got some ready-made. I don't know. Well, Or maybe we call it GitHub Sign In. I don't know. Because then we got to deal with icons. Not, we're just, I'm already out of my depth here. Oh, it's my least favorite thing to do is worry about the design of things. We'll just go ahead and open this up. Of course, it will always open up in the wrong place. Close out this window over here. Huh. And we'll just open it up. Let's compare. Now, granted, this one's zoomed in. View source. I don't know. I don't really want that there anymore. Now I kind of want to move that down maybe to the footer. Yeah, let's move that down to the footer. I think that could work. So let's take view source away. Do we have a footer section? Let me go take a look at mvp.css. Let's see, what are they doing? Oh, here it is. Scroll down to the bottom here. After main is a footer. HRP tag. Okay. Yeah, let's just copy that. So main, footer, HRP, and then, whoops, just toss that in there. Say copyright 2021. Actually, I prefer, no, not TM. It's, there we go. Alt G is the copyright symbol. And let's see how that works out. I am quite curious, actually. It seems like it could. I wonder. Let's see. Footer area. Nav. I'd kind of like footer to be like nav. But maybe, I don't know what it's called, flex grid box something or other, where you can just where it spaces evenly. I don't know, I'm gonna fall back to my old dirty tricks. Just gonna do this and refresh. Yeah, I'd kind of like that to float over here. That looks better. All right, now let's add the JavaScript. And we'll keep this pointed to the beta server for now. So we're going to take the sign in button live, but we're not going to do anything with it. We're going to take it live. Somebody can click sign in, but it's not going to do anything right now. We'll add that functionality as we go. Or maybe we won't put it live. Maybe we'll, no. Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be there, but it won't be functional. It'll be okay. Okay, so what? Let me see. We've got the app, and I don't think I really want to put this in the main app. Where shall I put this? I think we'll figure out how the sign in will interact. Later. Oh heck, let's just call it auth, I don't know. Sign in, sure. We'll call it sign in. And I want to figure out how to turn what we already have into something that's more like a library and less like a demo page. But that I'll have to save for another day. The real figuring out of it. Because, you know what? I'm tired. And I want to get bed early tonight. But I do want to get this in before I go. So let's go over here, look at public JS. Is it all in main? I think it is mostly in main. And what can we pull out? What do we actually need here? Because GitHub doesn't use the same features. Well, we could wrap that in a JS social login. That's true. I kind of want to try that. I wonder what happens if we do. Read user, read email. GitHub Oauth2 URL. Okay, so generate Oauth2 URL. Generate Oauth2 URL. Oh, and these are pretty darn similar, if I recall correctly. We got query stringify. We've got a good old no-op. What are we using no-op for? All right, we've got die. Okay, let's see if we can move these out into their own thing. I think we can. I think we can use the URL 64. A lot of this stuff can just move. And we'll take this into, this would be auth3000.js. That's what it would be. And then we would take down here, we'd need to load this first. So there we are. Whoops. Is there anything else that we can take out there? Hopefully we don't need the env stuff. If we do, I want to refactor that out. Hopefully we don't need the no-op. Query stringify. Probably need that, that's fine. Parse query string. Probably need that, that's fine. Parse JWT. Probably need that. Okay, I think those are the bits that are the most shareable, shall we say. And what we could do is we could have an auth3000 that we declare globally. And then we could have an async function that we auto execute, and we could just attach these things as functions. And I think I can come up with a decent enough find and replace for this that'll work for us. So let's see, anywhere we find function space some words, which we want to capture the words, then we want to replace that with Oauth3000 dot words space equals function, right? So what was wrong here? That needs to be escaped. That needs to be escaped. All of those need to be escaped. Okay. Not that one. And then we need to make the one change for the async function, which we could have done that by hand, but whatever. Why do we have that as an async function? I think because there's some sort of browser native API that I could have used to do some of this. I think that's why I made it an async function, but I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Hello, welcome. Feel free to tell me who you are, where you're from, what your interest is in Node or GitHub Sign In or whatever it is. And I'll be happy to answer questions, even if they're slightly tangential. I think I want to organize these things alphabetically, maybe. I'll just leave them as is for now. I think they are somewhat alphabetical already. Kind of, sort of. Okay. So we've got query string, parse, da 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 da. So I should be able to go over here and query stringify. Let's just prefix Oauth3000 in front of all these. Parse query, no. Query stringify. Oh, I'm not using query stringify as of yet. Do stuff with user. What do we have? We had like parse. Oh, don't want to be using like all the time. What do we have? We have parse JWT. What else do we have for parsing? Parse query string, parse JWT. Let me look. Let me go peek over there. Generate Oauth2 URL. Okay. Generate OIDC URL. Generate Oauth2 URL. All right, we got those ones taken out of the way. Let's just start at the top. Oh, how did that work out? Ah, there we are. Yep. URL base 64. URL base 64. Let's see if we're using that. URL base. Nope. Okay, that means that these are actually internal. So we could undo that. Well, I kind of like to expose things like this, so I'll just put an underscore on it for now to indicate that this is meant to be internal. But we'll go with that. All right, that looks looking fine. Decode URI component. Oh, and there's our query stringify. That's where that's being used. Got it. Anywhere else? No. Parse query parse JWT. All right. So I think we've got the stuff that we need. I'm going to copy this over. And let's see. If I go into Oauth3000 here, I'm just going to call that refactor. There's probably going to be some more stuff that needs to be here. Yeah, that looks right. I'm going to go ahead and open up a pull request so that I don't forget about that branch and where I put the things. Oh, it looks like I already have one pull request open. What's that for? Add GitHub? Okay, these two can actually be, they can coincide, and that's fine. Oops. Move common functions to own file. Oauth3000.js public js oauth3000.js. There we go. So that way I can just keep track of it and remember that it's still outstanding and that I need to do something with it. Okay. And let me just go ahead and copy that over. And I'll have to copy this back and forth manually for the time being as I'm kind of figuring out what ought to go where. Well, that's fine. Okay. So I also want to copy over old AJ query. So let's see. AJ query, for those of you that aren't familiar, is the fastest, most lightweight, bestest DOM manipulation framework of all time. That's it right there. I just keep it on hand so I can copy and paste as needed. Save myself some keystrokes, you know. It's all about saving them keystrokes. All right. So now we got that. And I guess I'm just going to do a little bit of copy and paste back and forth, really. That's what's necessary here. So we have an init function. Does some, yeah, we got this. This is fairly the same as what we would expect it to be, this init function. I mean, it's going to yield fairly common results. Yeah, that whole bit there, I think that's about the same. Complete Oauth2 Sign In. And these two functions, they may not be similar enough to fold into each other. They have a lot of common code between them, but trying to refactor them into the same. Like, I'll take a look at it later and see if that's what I want to do, but it might just make it kind of obnoxious. Let's see, do stuff with user. Base URL. Yeah, this kind of stuff we actually want. I need to publish my gen env so that I can use it as a tool in multiple projects. This doesn't actually do anything useful. Let me get rid of that. All right. So I'm going to need, let's put the .env file up top here. And for now, I think I can just copy this. Maybe I can't. 3000 under bin, under util gen env. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to copy that for now. And then I think we have an env.tpl.js, which I tried to make syntactically valid. And we'll see if it is. I think it is. Yeah, it is. Oh, I could just, let me just do it this way. There we go. Boop. And paste it on over here. And I'm actually not going to use the Google stuff yet. I will bring over env .env. Yeah, let me bring over the GitHub stuff here. I just need the client and the redirect, I think. Base URL maybe. Except now we're going to change this again. Base URL. So this is going to be the base API URL, I think is what we need to call that. And then we don't need the secret on the front end. And this is going to be bliss.js.org. Or maybe it's not. Yeah, we are going to have to tack on some sort of redirect to tell it that we can go to localhost or something or other. I have to think about that. I'm going to have to add some functionality for that later on. Anyway, won't worry about it just yet. Node gen env. Cannot find module.env. Okay, npm install save dev. So hello, I saw that somebody new just joined in. Feel free to tell me where you're from, what your interest is, and what you're up to yourself tonight. Okay. Public E. All right, so there's my env.js. Huzzah. So GitHub's going to redirect there. I suppose I should take a look at the referrer. Because that should still be in the browser. Okay, that's going to take a little bit of special effort. Ignore env.js and .env.star. And we're going to add sign in. Oh, we're not even using the envs yet. Let's see. In here, do we use them anywhere? Hopefully not. Good. All right, so this is clean. So what do I need to do to take... Let's see, I'm looking over here, see if we got any comments. What do I need to do over here? So I think the init function and the complete Oauth2 Sign In function are both actually kind of relevant. It's quite a bit, but let's take a look at it anyway. And then the attempt with user, do stuff with user, attempt refresh. That's not super relevant. But I'm going to try just pasting these here for now. So what I would need to do with these functions, no, I can't have a function called init just hanging out in the global scope like that. The Oauth2 complete sign in I could do. Base URL. So we don't actually want the base URL to be that kind of base URL, I don't think. Base URL. So this one, we might want to pass in base URL like so. Complete Oauth2, and then have base URL. But this is the API base, I think. Which is not really what we're going for here. env.baseURL. Base URL? Not sure. Let me go look at the template, env.tpl. Okay, let's do env.baseURL. Let's throw that in there. Node, get env.js. Let's make sure that looks right. Oh, no, it doesn't. Interesting. What do you call it? Base API URL. Fair enough. Base API URL. Still no? Oh, I didn't change the template. That's why. Okay, base API URL. Let's make sure we generate the template. Yep. So that got updated. That's great. That's what we want it to be. And then I need to update the code. I was looking at sign in. Base API URL. Sure. Let's go with that. And then Google sign in URL. I actually don't need that right now, so I'm just going to get rid of it. And this is JS. I think it's sign in GitHub. I think is what I decided to call it. Yeah, so sign in. So the other thing that we need there we go. So I kind of want to move this just so that I can select it. And this could be hidden, and that would be fine. That's its default state. So when we initialize, we're going to set the default state of both of those. Sign in GitHub, log out. All right. Oh, hello. Welcome. Feel free to tell me who you are, where you're from, what your interest is in Node, or whatever it may be that brought you to the channel. Feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to go on tangents if they're, well, as long as it's tangential, which most things are. I think I had one or two occasions where somebody asked a question that was just way out in left field, not at all related to anything. They're asking about a completely different video. I think I just saw that I was on, and I guess it was okay. Better to have some conversation and engagement than not, you know? Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm done with this. So I think that's right. It actually should be here. Whoops, no, not here. Sorry. Here. And I guess this could be more of a button. Do we have buttons? Button. Button. I don't know. That does generate a link, so it seems like it's appropriate for it to be a link. This does not actually have a link, so it seems like it's appropriate for it to be a button. Not really clear how I want this to be structured. It's okay, I'm just going to go with that for now. And let's see, do I got nerd tree? Yeah, I got nerd tree. Do I got? That's right. Nerd tree is what I got. So remember that. Delete session. Yeah, we still haven't handled logout, have we? You know, to be honest, I'm a bit tired. I may just return to this in the morning with a fresh mind. Let me see what I can do so far. All right, generate Oauth2 URL. This is great. That's going to be great. I mean, if I just take this right now as is, and I just go over here and I hit refresh, that didn't work. Let's see if we can figure out why. Might be because I didn't call the function, the init function. Well, init function is never called. Fatal error. Everybody loves a good fatal error. Ba-doop. Boop. Ba-doop. Boop. You're gonna love me a good fatal mosquito. Well, no, the other way around. Fatal human. It seems like there's some stuff that should get passed in to the init function here. Well, there might be other functions here too, so I don't know. We'll leave that one alone for the time being. But let me go over here, hit refresh. Oauth3000 is not defined. That seems unlikely, all things considered. Oh, okay, nope. Never mind. Never updated this bit. Attempt refresh is not defined. That's fine. Let's just get rid of where we're using attempt refresh. Oh, hello. Sometimes all you need is a little rest to see the problem in new eyes. It's not that I'm having a problem per se that I need to think about. It's that I'm just tired. Like I know what I need to do here. I'm not struggling to come up with, what is the solution? I'm just a little tired. But hello, and nice to see you again. It's been a while. At least on the streams. I see you on the Twitters. All right, so and then social login hidden is false. Should be have I got my paste buffer? Oh, too much of my paste buffer. I'll just bring this down here. I do eventually want to have some sort of encapsulating thingamabob, but for right now, I don't have that. So this will suffice. All right, if I hit refresh, then we should see there's GitHub Sign In, and if we look down at the bottom, we can see that its redirects are working just fine. So what we do need to set up is, well, maybe I should just be developing with this as my public in the beta. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to move this over to the beta repo and just remove the symlink to public that's pointing to the Oauth3000 demo, and then move this actual what will be the real deal into that public folder. So let's do this. Let me go back over there. Also tired, finishing some client work with your stream in the background. Okay. Cool. Is it anything particularly interesting? Yeah, so what are we at here? Serve Blizzard projects / public. All right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say rsync / beta. Oh, yeah. I was already set up to do that. Oh, typo. Missing hyphen. There we go. That should work just fine. And then I can go into this public folder here, and everything should be hunky-dory. Let me go. Here we are. Let's see if I refresh if we get. Yeah, we do. Good. So now, if I click GitHub Sign In, should redirect me and then redirect me back. Okay. But it got redirected back. It didn't have. I need to see that in slow motion, perhaps. There we go. Die. Okay. So we did get an access token. All right, so it's mostly working already. Let's go to our sign in. And the only problem was that die is not defined, so let's just grab that from, I should be able to go up a directory into Oauth3000, then into public JS main, and then I'll just copy no op and die and attempt refresh, and maybe even do stuff with user. See what have we got. Oh, really? Okay, so that one's going to need to move into the init function as well, it turns out. Just as well. All right, now I'm going to refresh and see what we get. Oops. See the access token there. It came and it went. Do stuff with user is not defined. Okay, cool. Do stuff with user. Alrighty. Let me uncomment this. I guess I could have copied everything over, it looks like, because the functions, pretty much all the functions were necessary. I mean, we're going to change it. It's not going to be do stuff with user. We're going to give it a descriptive name and have it do something particularly useful. But all right, congrats, you in. You got the token. Oh my, that logout button is a bit large. Yeah, I could do with a little bit less padding on that one. We're going to change that logout button to a link, I think. Well, I'm not going to do anything with it right now. I'm going to consider what it is that I really need to do in the next couple minutes so that I can head to bed because I'm tired. More into the front end nowadays. I used to be more involved in the back end when I coded using PHP. I have to say, Node is pretty awesome, but I've done very little about it. Yeah, well, you gotta play to your strengths. If you feel like front end is where you belong, grow that way. I think the main selling point of Node in the current day and age is kind of it's kind of curious, because with all the move to a typed language, it seems that people should not use Node. They should use Go. But I guess they like to punish themselves. And so they take a language that is perfectly flexible and wonderful and then turn it into a language that's terrible and difficult to work with. So I guess, I don't know. But Node is great when you just need some loosey-goosey stuff, stitch some APIs together. Or if you're already doing a lot with JavaScript and you want to be able to write some JS on the front end and some JS on the back end. But I definitely think it's a lot easier and better to learn Go in terms of getting more solid programming fundamentals. Because JavaScript is so haphazard, I think it helps to have a little bit of structure. Create a pit of success. Learn good patterns so that you can create a pit of success that you can fall into in any language. Which you don't get that with Node out of the box. Anyway. So at this point, we could set up, well, I'll have to think on this a bit. What do I want to have come out of this? I think I want this to be able to, the server side, I think I want it to be able to redirect to localhost, to blissapi.rootprojects.org, or to bliss.js.org. So I think I need to modify something in here to allow that, but I don't quite remember where it is. I think it's going to be under this Oauth2 GitHub. Yeah, Node's main strength is that it's JavaScript. And that you don't have to worry about threads at all. It gets amazing performance, all things considered. It is designed around a single core architecture, but because of the way that we ended up deploying things where we don't use multiple cores much anymore, its greatest weakness ends up not being a weakness because you just scale horizontally by adding more instances of the thing running. So you do get pretty darn amazing performance. If you were wanting to take advantage of multiple cores, you have to use something like Go. You just can't do it with Node. Not in any reasonable way. You lose more efficiency than you gain trying to get the cross core communication going, depending on how you do it. But you could easily lose just as much as you gain. But for situations where you don't actually need multiple cores, it's pretty darn good. Okay, what was I doing here? I was looking for my redirect. Location, maybe. All right, URL, toString, login URL, or issuer, login URL. So in this, right now is something that cannot be dynamic. Let me think about this. So how I decide to go back to the client is completely up to me. And I can use login URL. Let me see if I take a look at my app.js and where I'm doing, where am I setting up github.com? I'm setting that up in server.js. Okay, so let's go in server.js here. Look at the github.com. And so let's go to client ID, client secret. We've got redirect URI, but am I actually using that? Let's see. Underscore GH. Client secret login URL. So yeah, for now, I'm just going to play with what I've got. Yeah, we don't have redirect URI, but we have login URL. To do. What should this be named? And really, I don't want a static value. I want a function. So I could say, take a look at some aspect of this request and determine from the request whether or not we're allowed to redirect to that and give me back the URL that I should redirect to. That's kind of what I want it to do. So GitHub Redirect Uri, that one, I don't think we... Do we even use that? It's set there in server. Yeah, I don't think that's ever used. I wonder why that was in an environment variable. Oh, I remember now. Because we're dynamically building GitHub's redirect URI. But we could have had the option to redirect directly back to the client rather than having the first pass through the server. And what was the reason that it would be beneficial to have that first pass through the server rather than going directly to the client? Let me see what was in here. Location. What are we actually doing? We check that the access token is valid. We construct a URL. We redirect. So I guess the benefit is that if we're redirecting to the API, then the API can choose to issue yet a different redirect. Okay, so let's say I've got login URL. Whoops, let me go back to my server. Let's get rid of that then and say we want this to be https bliss.js.org/login, let's say. So if I refresh this and rerun the login, then instead of being redirected to Bliss API, I'll get redirected to bliss.js.org. Yep. Okay, cool. I'm totally cool with that. I understand it. And that's going to work for us for now. Although I think I want to rename it to something else. Let's see, we got any more comments? Nope. Let's see. Alrighty. Well, with this, I didn't quite make it to the point that I was thinking I wanted to, which would be to get this live with the GitHub Sign In. But I made some progress on it. I think it's far enough for tonight. And then once I've doped up on sleep, I can come back to this and maybe make some quicker progress as I continue to go forward. But thankfully, it looks like most things that need to be done are already done. I am going to need to implement the logout. I'm going to need to implement the token refresh. Not quite ready to push this live. I wouldn't get really any much benefit if I did. I'm in a good place. I've verified that I can do what I need to do. With the redirect URL. So the next piece probably will be maybe adding a sync button. Because this is my concern. Say that you're not signed in, but then you click sign in, and this is something that could happen to me. You click sign in, and the one that you get signed in as isn't your primary account. I guess I don't have to worry about that so much with GitHub. I don't think GitHub ever gives you the option. I don't know if you can sign in as an organization or not. I think you always sign in as a user. So maybe that's not a problem there, and I just shouldn't worry about it. But it would really stink if I clicked sign into GitHub and I was signed into the wrong account, and all of a sudden all my drafts got merged in with a wrong account. I've also been thinking about how to save versions, because I think that's important to do. Let me see. Yeah, these are problems I'll think about tomorrow. I'm going to go get some sleep. So you have a wonderful night. For anybody else watching as well, have a wonderful night. If any of this was helpful for you, if you had any aha moments, give it a thumbs up. If you like what you like, you get more of what you like. And if you'd like to subscribe, hit the bell for personalized recommendations. About 95% of what I do is code stuff, but occasionally I do other stuff that maybe you don't want to be notified about. So hence I say personalized recommendations is probably for the win. Yeah, and with that, I am going to go get some lovely sleep and hit the hay before 1 a.m., technically speaking, before 1 a.m. for the first time in, I don't know, a while. Adios.